Welcome back to Voice Global. I'm your host, Pete Erickson. I hope you've enjoyed the conversations we've been having across the board with companies and brands from around the world who are really leading and at the forefront of the conversational AI industry, from both chat and voice, and again, across industries. My next guest has a long history at the intersection of conversational AI and many different types of implementations. He has a Ph.D. To back that up in telecommunications, as well as being the founder of a company that went into this space in 2010 in Speech Morphing. Please welcome to the stage my next guest, CEO and founder of Speech Morphing, Fathy Yassa. Fathy, welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much.
I think the first question I have that I think would really be helpful for folks out there is, let's talk about speech synthesis. We talk about many different aspects of this space, but let's specifically talk about speech synthesis and tell us what that segment of the market entails.
Well, I would like to first say speech synthesis has come very long way since its beginnings way back in the 60s and the attempts to make a computer speak. And at that time, obviously, the voices were robotic, were unintelligible, and lots of effort has gone behind making speech synthesis the way it is today. More recently, speech synthesis has taken advantage of the actual presence of the compute capabilities that exist, be it in the cloud or on servers in the office or on location, and the presence of machine learning supported by the right hardware like GPUs and so on, allowed speech synthesis to become a very powerful tool today, and actually not only powerful but also demanded across multiple industries. So speech synthesis has become more pronounced actually the past couple of years, when people started realizing that in order for them to be able to be very responsive to their customers, as well as being able to address the customer needs and make it more cost efficient for the different businesses, speech synthesis became a focal point for multiple industries. That includes the banking industry, it includes the automotive industry. It has shown its power in many different areas, including, of course, robotics and personal assistants, and we've seen multiple products on the market, without naming any names, that take advantage of speech synthesis specifically. On the other hand,
go ahead,
please.
No, I think one thing that's interesting is, speech synthesis is really on the back end. It's really where the computer generates what needs to be said. And that may come out as, it could be a human voice. It could be a robotic voice. It could be, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a robot, but I think the synthesis happens really at the, under the hood, if you will.
If you may call it, it's the last mile facing the customer or the consumer.
Right.
I mean, speech synthesis is what we produce in order to express ourselves. And
right.
If the unit or the business wants to express themselves one way or the other, it's gotta be. Speech has become. Let me put it this way: we hear and we listen much more efficiently than reading. All right. You hear 150 words per minute versus reading 50 or 25 words per minute.
Right.
And you keep going back and forth. When you listen to somebody speaking, you comprehend and you absorb the information much faster.
So let's go back to the beginning, because this company was founded in 2010, long before, before Siri, and long before, or before Apple introduced Siri and acquired and introduced Siri. But long before voice assistants came into our home. Why did you found Speech Morphing, and what particular problems were you hoping to solve?
Fantastic question, because I love telling that story. As a matter of fact, before Speech Morphing, I had a startup called Event Networks that was dealing in mobile consumer video on demand. and I was licensing content from all over the world. As a matter of fact, from Europe, any country you name, I would have licensed something from them, from the U.S., from Latin America, from the Middle East, and so on. And it just hit me that while I was watching multiple content in many languages, which I speak some of them, it occurred to me that why in the world are we dubbing movies in a hired actor's voice rather than dubbing the movie in the original actor's voice? And that triggered my thought in that, well, let me see if we can replicate the actor's voice and make them speak as if they spoke that localized language, be it an American actor, and we produce or we send the movie to Europe, in France or in Italy. Why can't we make him speak Italian or French in the original accent? And that made me think about, well, let's take it on. And I looked at the market. I tested the market with the multiple providers, including dubbing studios and so on. And in 2010, it seemed like the right timing for it. And sure enough, by the time we reached that point today, there is a high demand for this kind of application.
Well, certainly I love the vision back then, and I love the idea. I mean, I watched a lot of movies, and it's always interesting when a voice gets dubbed over, and it's like it does not match, right? It's a great use case and a great example. But from that time and that impetus for kind of moving forward with a new company, you've actually gone into banking or other industries. Let's talk a little bit about what were the early adopter industries for the technology that speech morphing had developed.
Yeah, so while we were developing the technology to reach the point where we're actually at today, and being able to service the entertainment industry as we speak, prior to that, as we were developing the content, the technology, it occurred to us that well, there are low-hanging fruits while we're perfecting the technology for entertainment, which is demanding from a quality standpoint. There are other markets like the banking, like personal assistants and so on, chatbots and so on, that could take advantage of the quality that we were able to produce about 3 years ago already. And so we decided that at that time we should go after those markets because there was demand actually, and customers were being courted by other companies to provide those solutions. And of course, we can talk later on about how different our solution is compared to others. But that's what brought us to the banking industry, and we have seen quite a bit of receptivity from multiple businesses for our solution, and we're actually in active conversation with a number of those as we speak. And not only that, but also we integrated with the likes of Genesis and Omedia into their services, and in order for us to provide our solution to their end customer. So we are actually out in the market with that kind of technology, with our technology for the banking industry and other call center as well as digital assistance providers.
Well, we've certainly been talking a lot about call centers, and I think that's certainly one of the forefronts for for this industry, and that is a highly challenging thing to solve. Is the intent of the caller and going through multiple turns with that caller, and it requires not only deep technology expertise, but real understanding, and I think a long history and background in the industry. How has speech morphing approached this from a technology standpoint? That's unique. Give us a sense of that from a how have you approached this from a technology? Certainly a mathematician and technologist yourself, but how have you approached it from a technology standpoint that's unique in the market?
That has to, I have to answer that by backtracking a little bit on how we implemented our system, because that makes the big difference in how our system addresses all the points that you're making. The way we implemented our system from the very beginning is that we looked at the problem in a little different way from many others, all right? In the sense that my personal background is in system design and chip design and multiple multiple components for many applications, and how you modularize things and so on. And in doing these system designs, the requirement to be able to debug systems and to be able to control the different parts of the flow of the signal going through a system demanded on us or imposed on us the requirement to be able to partition the problem in its building blocks. And as such, when we built our system based on multiple AI components, be it deep neural networks or recurrent neural networks or any other type of machine learning, we built a system in a modular fashion that we can not only be able to control at every single step of the signal flow, but also upgrade the components independently of the others that don't need to be upgraded. And as such, some of the parts of our system allow us to control the tonality of the voice that's coming out of our system. We call it natural language speech synthesis for a reason, and that is to be able to control the prosodic reflection of the voice for a customer that is angry, or a customer that is happy, or a customer that is inquisitive, and so on. We're able to control through our system and our prosody prediction and our disambiguation and all kinds of specific controls that are related to the text that's coming to us from the natural language processing and the natural language understanding, to tell our system, speak this way. And if we do that, we are able to address appropriately each customer independently, depending on the system reaction to the customer demand. And as such, the modularity allowed us to do that, and we can impose on the output of the speech synthesis how and what to say in a specific way to make sure that the customer is appropriately addressed.
You speak about it so eloquently, and you know it so well. You know this industry so well. And I think the way that you've built a modular architecture that allows you to, to address the different pieces of the stack that are needed at any specific time is definitely notable. I think about, machine learning and, the technologies that are taking place under the hood. Again, solving really complex challenges. In another conversation we had with Comcast, they mentioned that there are 24,000 different intents for how to change a channel on the TV remote, right? And that I love to reference that statistic because it just puts a light on just how complex this space is. Because we're talking about changing a channel, but we're talking about now you've got people that are trying to access banking information, and everybody's going to say everything differently. Also, I think the intonation, if they're angry or frustrated, happy, you want to know those things. So what's happening behind the scenes is really, really complex. Is there anything that's kind of like on the cutting edge coming out? Can you give us any insights of like where things are headed to next? What are the next big innovations that either Speech Morphing is coming out with, or where do you see the industry going?
Well, I can talk about what we are coming out with soon, and that is not one thing that we are capable of doing in a very short and very cost-effective way is for companies and entities, enterprises that require a voice that is appropriate for their services. You have Macy's, different from Bloomingdale's, they want to have their own voice. You have Bank of America, different from Chase, they want to have their own voice representative of their character and representative of their services. And as such, our system is capable of providing those branded quote unquote voices for the customer in a way that it replies or it answers to their customer needs. And that is driven, of course, by our customer, not by us. We render the voice appropriately for their need. Is it a happy voice? Is it an accommodating voice? Is it a sympathetic voice? And we can do all of the above with the same voice, by the way. Other companies would have to record or synthesize, create models for each one of those separately, whereas with one voice, we can do all of the above with very little amount of data compared to multiple hours that others require. We can do that within very few minutes. And as such, we have beaten every single concept in terms of production of a voice for a fast turnaround, low cost, and be able to address the customer need very quickly, our customer need very quickly.
I'd love to unpack that just a little bit and ask you, when and we've had, we had KLM Airlines and at the Voice 2019, they actually revealed the voice of KLM, which was a synthesized voice of all their customer service agents, or like they took many different employees from across the airline, male and female, and they created one voice. So is that what you're talking about? A brand can actually do that with the Speech Morphing platform, is create a very unique sound and a very unique voice for that brand.
Absolutely, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Create a very unique sound, very unique voice that could even variate depending on the situation. For instance, if you have a pilot speaking from the cockpit to the cabin, we can make a pilot speaking. Actually, we have an experiment going on right now with the pilot voice speaking into the cabin. If it's a flight attendant, we can use the flight attendant voice, and we can customize that depending on actually the next level of innovation that is not possible. I can take that the flight attendant or the pilot, and I can make them speak in their own voice in multiple languages, depending on how many languages they have.
That's interesting. I think that's fascinating for air travel. Yes,
and it's in their own voice with the right intonation in that language.
Oh, wow.
And that's a big step forward compared to anybody else out there.
Right. No, really interesting. What's the, you've been going for 12 years with Speech Morphing. And so when I ask the question, what's the long-term vision? You've already been doing this for a while, but where do you see this going? And I think I know the answer, but would love to hear you talk to us a little bit about, what's the long-term vision for, the organization?
Yeah. So my long-term vision is making Speech Morphing the most powerful company in the space of speech synthesis. Not only that, but associate ourselves with the appropriate applications that are more lucrative for us, as well as better for our customers. That includes multiple market verticals that we're looking at right now, including, of course, the entertainment industry and the localization business, as well as quick service restaurants, which we have won the award in last November for the best technology available out there. And we're looking forward at applying ourselves as we grow into multiple other markets, not only applying ourselves, but also including our capabilities into things like robotics and appropriately address the market with variations from our current technologies, of course, which means that we will have more innovation on hand. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. We have achieved within Speech Morphing over the past 10 years, 16 issued US patents. Some of them have become through the PCT European patents as well. And we're working on quite a few of those right now.
Okay, 16 patents in the last year. I think that's
in the last 10 years. Yes.
16 patents to date. That's fantastic, though. That is a lot of IP protection. Certainly is indicative of all that's going on under the covers. I think what's been illuminating is I think what I love is just how your story started with looking at movies and dubbing and figuring out, hey, why can't we make that person sound this way? And here we are 12 years later and it's happening. It says a lot about you and your ability to carry through on a vision. We're excited to see, where this goes. And we hope you'll come back at Voice Summit this fall. We've been talking about this. We are going to have a live event. We're working on those details right now. But we would love to have you come and speak with us there and get caught up with everything that Speech Morphing is up to and working on. Would you come and join us?
I would love to. And as a bonus for this, I would like to finish with a video that we created for Neil Armstrong landing on the moon, where the landing on the moon transmission from the moon back to Earth was very garbled, of course, because of the noise that we were able to resynthesize Neil Armstrong in his voice saying whatever he said, landing on the moon, the famous step on the moon in his own voice, very clear. Not only that, but also at the end of the clip, we're making him speak Spanish.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Well, we will certainly roll that clip at the conclusion of this interview, and we look forward to that. Well, I'll tell you what, Fathy, it's been wonderful to speak with you and learn more about your background and all that you've been working on, and just love your vision of speech synthesis and to see it come to fruition. And we look forward to more announcements coming from Speech Morphing in the coming days and weeks and months ahead. My guest has been Fathy Yassa. He is the CEO and founder of Speech Morphing. They are one of the leading companies in the world when it comes to speech synthesis. You can check them out at Speech Morphing. Oh, is it .com? I don't have my website up. Is
.com,
it
yes.
speechmorphing.com?
Yeah.
Yes.
And for any information, they can request information either my personal email, fathy@speechmorphing.com, or they can send requests for more information and details at info@speechmorphing.com.
And that's Fathy Yassa. That you'll see Fathy
FATHY@speechmorphing.com. Yes.
You'll see it on the card here on the site. Fathy, thank you again. Thanks for being a part of this community, and it's always great to catch up with you. And look forward to chatting again soon. We're gonna roll that video. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I appreciate that.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. Neil, we can see you coming. I'm at the foot of the ladder. The limb puts me. I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Un pequeño paso para el hombre, un gran salto para la humanidad.